What happened over the last week? Anything worthwhile?
Yeah, I mean, I had some great appointments with new realtors in I guess call it a suburb of Huntsville and Decatur.
Yep.
So had coffees with them and went well and followed up with them. I send out a weekly on Fridays just rates. So included them on the rate blast and then talked to them this morning to see if they worked with anybody over the weekend that I could help them with.
Okay. And what was the feedback that you got?
One, well, from they didn't have any clients right now that they worked with. One that she had contracts on two of her listings, but I guess they were already with a lender.
Okay.
So nothing from I didn't take any applications, but I feel like every day I'm getting closer to bonding with building a deeper relationship with these realtors.
Right. Right. And why do you think it takes so long?
Well, I don't know that I'd say it takes so long. It's just that right now there's a lot of activity out there as far as looking at houses, but I'm not sure the realtors, at least I'm calling right now, have gotten contracts.
Okay.
Or had when they get tied into or showing someone that one of them said they had a client that was working with a credit union here that they tried to send to me, but they're tied in pretty deeply with the credit union, but they're trying to dissuade them from using the credit union because the loan just gets they don't do a good job through the loan process.
No, most credit unions don't.
Yeah. So I don't know that it takes a long time, but I'm ready to start getting more applications. That's where
Okay.
not been getting.
So tell me a little bit about how your meetings go with these agents. I mean, I know you're starting to use the dialogue. I know you're starting to kind of position yourself as being something different for these realtors. Do you actually put a call to action in place when you're sitting in front of them, or do you kind of leave it open-ended? Like, do you plan it as I'm here to meet with you just to see if I want to work with you, and then do you make the decision you want to work with them before the meeting's over, or do you just kind of put yourself into that position of saying, you know what, I'm not sure if we're a good fit. I want to try, I want to see what you're about, what makes you referable. Is this going to be a good fit? And do you do a follow-up to that, or do you just kind of make it a one meeting yes or no answer?
Well, no, and a lot of these realtors are realtors that I know or have worked with in the past and might not get consistent business, but I sit down with them in my call to action because I guess I'm not going in there thinking, is it a good fit or not a good fit? I know, or I think I'm aware of the ones I really don't want to work with.
Yep.
So I don't go into that conversation, and my call to action is, when if you work with someone that needs help, please have them call me. I want to work with you on these files.
Right. Right.
So I haven't really gotten to the is it a good fit or not yet conversation.
Okay. Okay. Why not? Why do you think that is?
I think because the realtors that are on my 30 list, I feel like all of them would be a good fit.
They would all be a good fit. Okay. Okay. That's a fair answer. That's a fair answer. So of the 30 that you're calling, and you've been calling on them for greater than 2 weeks, right? I mean, most of them you've either met with or you've met with all of them?
No, I've met with, let me see, maybe 50%, 60% of them.
Okay.
And
so you met with 60.
some of the meetings have been coffees. A couple have been over the phone because they couldn't meet. So they said, let's do this over the phone.
Okay. So what is the purpose when you go to meet with an agent for the very first time? What is your goal? Is your goal just to meet with them and you consider that successful? Is your goal to have made a statement to them that makes you more memorable and more referable? Or do you go there seeking a specific result as it relates to, I'm looking for a referral from you in X amount of time, or is there some other value that you're offering them up that you give yourself, this is my number one purpose for meeting with them?
Well, when I think part of sitting down with them is that's a, and I don't know the goal, but that's a plus. And then to tell them how I'm more referable and how I can help both their referrals and my referrals. So it's kind of telling them, talking about the dialogue we went over and talked about.
Right.
And I don't put a time limit on it.
Okay.
Is that, I mean, is that something I should include in the conversation?
And I may not be hearing all of it, but my initial gut feeling on it is that your meeting with them is more or less a, I like you, let's get together and hang out for a little bit.
Well, I think it's more because I go in and talk to them about the process and the three things that I'll do with their clients, you know, consult with.
So then my question is, what does the realtor get out of the meeting? Like, let's be clear about our audience. Now, our audience, our realtors, our Thor's Hammer agents, we are trying to sell them on the concept that we are the best partner for their business. True?
Yes.
We want them to realize that our value goes well beyond just taking a loan application from A to Z, from womb to tomb. The purpose of meeting with somebody is because our ability to communicate is significantly greater when we're belly to belly. Nonverbal communication, tone, the words that we use have a significantly greater impact on our audience when we're actually able to meet with them face to face. Plus, it shows that we're both willing to invest some time and energy. Correct?
Correct.
So it goes without saying that if an agent is willing to take the time to meet with you, they're obviously interested in something that you've set up to this point, and there is something that they're looking to accomplish by meeting with you, or depending on how your meetings go, they may be looking for a free cup of coffee or some other kind of, wasting of time, or they've got nothing better to do. Either way, when you show up to the meeting, if you're not crystal clear on what you're expecting to get out of it, it's a waste of your time, and they're going to be slightly disappointed in the result because they don't walk away with anything of value. So I did a presentation with a group of realtors on Friday for an LO here locally, and he brought me in and had me talk to 10 of the realtors out of this broker's office.
Okay.
And I came to them not with the hopes of putting this lender, this LO, in a better relationship with these realtors. I knew that my audience were agents that were trying to figure out ways to increase their business. I mean, that's everybody's angle, right?
Right.
So instead of talking about me, instead of talking about what Dave, this LO, can do for them, instead of talking to them about all the things that most of them probably already know, I started the conversation off with, I have a goal, and that is for you to leave here with something of value that you can apply into your business, that you can believe, that you can start to understand that my value goes well beyond just closing loans. If I spend most of the time talking about me, I desensitize everybody because they don't want to listen to me talk about me. Was that our conversation last week?
Yes.
How to come up with a list of the top 10 things that make you valuable and take it from an I statement and make it about them?
Right. Top 5. I had 5.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Whatever the number is.
Yeah.
The point of the exercise, and we'll get into that here in a second, is when you begin your conversations with an agent, and this kind of goes back to why I think a lot of us don't get the number of referrals that we think we should based on when we leave a meeting. Saul, I'm willing to bet you, and Bobby, I'm willing to bet you too, that every meeting that you've left, you've probably felt like, wow, that's really good. I feel like I'm going to get some business from them. Does anybody believe that that doesn't happen?
No, I think that's a true statement.
Okay. So we leave there, and then a week or two goes by, and what happens? It's crickets, right?
Right.
So all you've proven to yourself is that you and them are likable people. But what you really haven't answered for yourself is this agent qualified to give me business? Is this agent referable? Does this agent even do enough business to send me deals? Do I know how many deals they've done throughout the year? And are they listings or buying? I haven't qualified this realtor to the point where when I sit down with them, I'm in the mode of I don't want to waste my time sitting here with a realtor who I don't know what their agenda is. So I'm going to nip it in the bud and say, listen, I'm not here because I need you to be a part of my business. I'm here because I'm looking for the right realtor to be a part of my business. I provide something more than just loan duties. As an example, what do you tell your clients that makes you referable? And then I would go into the consult, negotiate, and manage fears and expectations. Mr. Realtor, this is just an example of what and how I present myself and ways in which I could help you improve your style of communication with your clients to help you improve your referability with them. What I'm looking for from the agents that I want to bring into my business is an agent that wants to understand how to grow their business, how to add more loans to their pipeline or more sales to their pipeline. But I also realize that not many realtors really care about growing their business. And by care, I mean most realtors don't want to create a referable experience, spells care, create a referable experience. They don't want to create a referable experience to help their business grow. They're okay with waking up every morning being unemployed. Well, I'm not interested in partnering with a realtor like that. That may not be a good fit for you.
Hey, Doug.
The agent that responds with, that's not what I want, I'm looking for something that you've just talked about, I would like to learn more. The meeting goes, I would love to tell you more, but in order for me to get into more of what I know and how to amplify your business, we have to have some relationships that we can establish to be able to see if we work well together. I would love to help you and commit to you and be a true partner for you in growing your business, but the way that the real estate business goes is you probably get 5 to 10 leads for every one transaction that I get. That's just the way it goes. So what I'm looking for is a realtor who's willing to partner up with me and give me that chance so that I can prove to you that my system works, because otherwise everything that I'm going to teach you is going to go unrecognized because you're not going to see it in practice. So the best way for me to give you how this works is to show you how I work in action and how I can help you magnify and amplify your business. Now you can have that conversation in about 15 to 20 minutes, but the point is that you want to sell the concept of what you bring to the table and leave them wanting more. But you can't leave there wanting more until you've qualified who they are. I mean, I get the whole frogging thing. But the whole frogging thing is a great warm and fuzzy to get them to like you because you're talking about them. But once the formalities are done with, you've got to really decide if you're a true consultant. and not to your clients, but to your realtors, because that's what a realtor is looking for. An agent that really is a valued partner is looking for ways to make themselves more valuable to their clients. But unfortunately, most realtors, they're as thin as the piece of paper that their license is printed on. They're just never going to be that person. So you don't really stand to lose anything by telling them that you're the one that's in control here. I'm not looking for a realtor to, I can sit here, I can meet with 100 realtors a month and have a coffee with them and bullshit with them and think it's all fine and dandy. But I'm really going to start hammering the concept of, you won't know my value until you see it in action. I'm looking for a chance to work with agents that understand that. And that provides you a chance to follow up with them for the next 2 to 3 weeks. And for me, by the time you've said that conversation and followed up with them 2 times, they're not a realtor that's interested in your business. And that's when you have to look at it and go, I will continue to talk to them, call them for the next 8 to 9 weeks if that's the program you want to follow, or you simply move on and replace them with another at-bat. Is that different than the conversation that you're having with your agents, Saul?
Well, yes, but on my agents that I am meeting with, I've looked, and I know that they're doing business, and I know they're buyer and sell side transactions.
Great. So you know they're qualified. So then that's out of the way. So then it just becomes a matter of, why aren't they? Do you ask that question up front?
Ask what question?
What is it about your lender that you're referring to right now that you like the most? What is it about the lenders that you've dealt with in the past that you like the least? That's I call it the 8-mile syndrome.
Right.
I'm not going to let anybody hide behind something. I'm going to pull it all out. I'll throw myself under the bus before I throw anybody else under the bus. But I will also challenge them on their thought processes, because I'm the consultant here. Most realtors aren't a consultant. They're just an order taker. So I'm going to ask them those questions. Talk to me about your last 10 transactions, Joe Realtor. What did you like about the lending situation with that lender, and what didn't you like? You have a lender that you work with that's your preferred lender? Well, I have 3. Well, okay, you have 3. We know how that all goes. What is it about those 3 that you like? And what do they do to help you with your business? I'm not talking about paying for leads or anything like that. That's not a help. That's a crutch. What is it that your partnerships with your loan officers, what is it about them that you refer? And sit back and listen to those conversations, and I think you'll quickly realize that the value proposition that most lenders offer is crap. And it gives you the insight as to exactly what you have to provide. So you leave that meeting going, I've got the list of the things about the lenders that they like and don't like. I left them saying, well, I'll follow up with you. Is it okay if I call you from time to time, however you want to end that meeting? And the next follow-up conversation is going to go back to those notes and go, hey, Mr. Realtor, you said communication was the greatest thing about your transactions with your preferred lender. I believe that the number one thing that I do with my clients is communicate with them, because my business is 100% referred to me. We value the relationships that the realtors provide us, because we believe we have an undistinguished, or we have a high level of privilege to earn that right, and we don't squander it. So not only do we follow up with updates through Jungo and through Salesforce and whatever other systems that are out there, but it gives you a means to follow up with them for 2 or 3 weeks after and provide them with something of value. But I think a lot of times we do these meetings with these agents, but we leave there feeling like it went well, but we leave there with there's no substance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you feel like when you leave a meeting with a realtor that you've identified their strengths and weaknesses, you know what they're after in relationship to their business, and you know what their challenges are with the lending side? I mean, I'm not saying guessing. I'm saying, did you answer the questions when you show up? I mean, when you leave. Do you
Those,
have, and that's what I mean, that's what I mean by goal and a purpose. I mean, the goal is obviously to meet with them face to face because there's a better chance to communicate, but the purpose is, am I leaving there with a clearly defined understanding of what my audience's goals, wants, and needs are?
I do not dig that deep.
Bobby, what do you think about that?
Well, I've tried to use it, based on conversations you and I had, early on, and yeah. it does help. I mean, I'm not to the point where it just rolls off the end of my tongue, like it does with you. But I can tell you this, that I had some appointments set with realtors that I didn't really, I had no relationship with, and I went and I met with them and I sat down and I frogged them and this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, the point you make is, I didn't really go in with a whole lot of expectation, I guess, nor did I leave them with anything of value. And as of at least with several of them, it's crickets. I haven't heard from them. I do, I try to stay in front of them, but it's still, they have no, I guess, need to do business with me, because they don't know that I can provide more than what they're, probably getting today. And that's
and
on
whose
me.
fault?
On
right.
me.
Right. It's on you. And I think it goes back to, we've talked about this before. Having the one thing that makes us different is the fact that we talk differently than most. It also means that as a consultant, you have to embrace that entire mindset. Me meeting with a realtor, and guys, again, when I say this, is just me. Meeting with a realtor, for me, I always felt like it was a waste of time. I really did. I really believed that most of the realtors that I met with over my career were a waste of time. But I got value out of it for myself because it helped me sharpen my tools and my skill of speaking to them. Most realtors that you speak to aren't going to be able to answer these questions with any kind of conviction. Most. But you're not looking for most. I mean, in your marketplace, if you had 10 to 15 agents that were really strong referable partners with you, and they're out there, we just get so caught up in the fact that we got to sift through 50 of them to find the 10. We get so burnt out. We lose faith. That's why the meetings that you have, especially on the first one, it should be a fact-gathering conversation. You should go in there with a belief system that you know what your value is and speak it to them about them, which is what the assignment was last week, and get that out of the way. But the real meaning behind the conversation is, does this client, does this realtor have a need that I can fill? You don't know what the need is because you haven't asked. You make the assumption, but you go in there talking about yourself and just wanting to be liked and leave there feeling warm and fuzzy, but that warm and fuzzy doesn't pay the bills. And the truth is that if a realtor is willing to meet with you, you've got your foot in the door, and most of the time, once we have our foot in the door and we make eye contact, we pull our foot out expecting them to open up the door for us, but they don't. What we struggle with is the belief that we still have, we don't have enough value. So we show up to these meetings just wanting to be liked and hoping that's good enough. The key word is hoping. You're not wanting to be liked by these guys. You want them to recognize you as being a tool to their business, a partner for their, for their clients. And the only way to do that is to clearly talk to them about what you're providing. So make the conversations that you have with these agents about being a consultant. Imagine yourself coming in there and being a business consultant for their, for their real estate practice, and ask them the questions to that point. Mr. Realtor, you've been in the business a while. I know that I've done my homework. I've seen that you do some value, you do some volume. I'm curious to know, what would you say is the #1 reason that your clients refer you? Like, of the current clients in your database that you have, how many, do you get a consistent amount of repeat business and referral business from your database and current clients? Whatever their answer is, I'm going to tell you that's probably going to be not much. On top of that, Mr. Realtor, the lending situations that you've been in for the last year. The market's obviously up and down. I get all that. But what is it about the lending relationships that you've experienced over the last couple months? Do you really appreciate? Like, what is it that you get from these lenders? And then what is it about these lenders that you don't like? And here's the reason why you put it in that sequence. You talk about the good first, you talk about the bad second, because you're going to Oreo method it by finishing it up with, that's an amazing statement. I hear that a lot from realtors in the market that I interview, because I'm constantly looking for realtors that understand the value of a true partnership, and I'm looking for somebody who understands their value in a relationship with a lender, because I believe that our current clients in our database is the greatest misstep that most of us make. And if you currently don't have enough business in your data or in your pipeline, I'm willing to bet you that my value to you would be significant, because I can help coach you and teach you on the things that we're missing on. I'm being coached on a monthly, weekly basis myself, and I would love to take the information that I get and share it with you and help us grow together.
Hey,
but in order for me, yeah.
You know, I think the key to what you just said is, I guess in my mind, most realtors, they don't run their business as a business.
No, they don't run. They run it like a job. J-O-B.
And you know, at the end of the day, they're a business within a business, just like Saul and I are a business within a business for all intent and purposes.
Right.
And I think, you know, a lot of these folks, if you truly ask them and they answered, if we did get, you know, an answer, a truthful answer from them, my guess is that what it boils down to is, or the consistent message we would receive is, they close my loans on time. And that's all they think about. So, you know, they tell you that and say, okay, well, let me ask you this. What happens if Joe Blow missteps and, you know, he doesn't close on time? Do you move on to the next agent, or, I mean, the next, you know, loan officer that you have of your three to see how they're going to do it? I mean, would you agree with that based on feedback?
I think there's a preceding question that you've got to start with. And I think the preceding question, and I love this, is what makes a transaction successful? I did this presentation and I asked that question in the very beginning of my presentation, and I heard getting paid. I heard closing on time. I heard no stress. I heard delivering what you promise. And then the last one, which was the broker said, my reputation. And I was amazed that the broker said it. And his audience and his realtors underneath him didn't. That means that there's a disconnect between the broker's value system and the realtor's value system. And it brings up a very good point as to what realtors, back to the point of your audience, not my audience, your audience. When you're talking to your agents, what is your audience's needs? What is their definition of successful? If my definition of successful is getting a current client referral, and the realtor's definition of successful is closing on time, well, then I break out the sheet of 100 things that could go wrong, and I'm like, there's no way that you're ever going to have a perfect transaction every time. However, I can show you ways that even if you can't close on time, that you can still get a current client referral during the process. Do you guys kind of get where my mind is with this?
Yeah, I do. I totally get it.
Bobby, you get it?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to show you guys something that I think is really valuable Do both of you guys have a computer screen up and running? Saul, do you?
I do.
Yes, I do.
Okay. You guys see what's on the screen right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. This is something that I showed to many agents in my career. And this is such a powerful tool because it helped me with my LOs, it helped me with my employees when I had my own company, but it's always helped me understand what my evolution of my career path looked like, or my profession. Most realtors are in the job survival step, living paycheck to paycheck. They don't have any stability. They're in a job. Once you create a business, you create some stability, some predictability. You know you're getting X amount of money coming in every month. You can start planning. You can start developing processes and systems because you're going to commit. You're going to stay in this for a while. Once you've reached the point where you're able to save, you're able to predict, you've got some success under your belt, that's when you've really reached the plateau that most people remain at until they retire. Between the job to the career, it was from 1996 till about 2000 and the end of 2012. It took me that long to go through those three phases of my business, and in the beginning of 2013, I was able to take in to be offered this position, and this is where I'm at now, which is what I consider to be my calling, or where I'm the most significant, because I get to have conversations with guys like you and help you guys with your businesses as much as possible, and really show how much not only the company but myself cares about you guys. Having this conversation with your realtors, does this make you look like more of a consultant or more like a loan officer? If you ask them, what's your definition of a successful transaction? And then if they say getting paid, then I'm willing to bet you that you can probably put them on the first step. And when you say reputation, I'm willing to bet you can put them at the third step, which is career. And it's funny that the broker was the one that said it. Do you kind of see how this starts to develop an understanding of who your audience is before you start talking about all the things that you can do?
Yes.
Does this make sense?
Hey, Doug, let me ask you this question. If, to go back, I've met with, let's say, 16 realtors and not dug this deeply.
Yep.
So is it a matter of, how do I make another first impression, or do I just dig this out of them, or through conversations we have either face-to-face or on the phone?
I would say that your humbleness is probably going to get you a second chance. And if I was in your corner, I would be picking up the telephone and going, hey, Mr. Johnson, Saul, I wanted to know if I could schedule a couple minutes with you, maybe over a cup of coffee. I have something that I just realized, and I'm super excited to share with you because it may have a great impact in your business. And the statement is, and if they call you back going, listen, I just want to grab a cup of coffee with you because I think I did a disservice to you the last time we talked, because I realized that when talking to you, I never really got a chance to figure out what makes a successful transaction for you. Like, honestly, how am I supposed to help you grow your business or know what your needs, goals, and wants are when I really didn't even dig into that? Now, I know it sounds kind of hokey, but my business is completely relationship-based, and I know what makes a successful transaction, but I don't really understand I don't know if I understand what you consider to be a successful transaction. You may find that most of them go closing on time. Well, you know what, Mr. Realtor? I think that's a great goal. But if I said to you, getting a current client referral, or getting a client to refer you to somebody that they care about, or having a past client endorse you to somebody that they care about, whether you closed on time or not, would that be of value to you? Because I also have this, and this was another part of it. When I did this presentation, I told them about the setting expectations as a consultant and giving my clients this list of 100 things that go wrong. Every single one of those agents raised their hands and said, I want that sheet.
Do you have that sheet?
Haven't I sent that to you guys?
No.
Really?
Really?
You did send it to me.
I thought there was somebody I sent it to. Yeah, but I'll forward it to you after.
Well,
But
at least I know where I stand in this group.
Oh, damn, man.
I
It's
kept
Monday.
bugging him about it.
God. All I can say is I'm trying to find out what your goals, wants, and needs are, and I'm doing my best to meet them.
I got it. Hey, I'm going to throw this out there, and I don't think it's too far off of what we're talking about, but Saul, and I need you to kind of chime in too, because, you know, here's the thing, Doug, I think that at least I kind of wrestle with a little bit right now, with not so much with our calls and what you're saying, because I totally, you know, the more that we have it, the more I get out of it, and it starts to kind of sink in.
Yep.
But your approach is considerably different than Freedom Club.
Yep.
And so I don't know, I mean, I think part of the problem I have is, you know, which path do I go down? And I can tell you that I prefer your path versus Freedom Club, but yet I still get caught up in some of the stuff they do and not real sure how to kind of mesh it together. Do you have that same issue, Paul?
Well, and I'm doing Thor's hammer because it just gives me a system which keeps me focused. And I don't mind making the calls. My only, and it's not that I have a problem with it, but when I follow up on Monday and then I'm sending a text out on Tuesday, and then I'm going to start doing Agent Mastermind, and that'll be a call, or these agents shuddering when they see my number pop up. I haven't seen that yet, but I don't know. And what I've seen on the calls I made this morning they were, you know, excited to take my call. You know, their tone sounded, hey, great to hear from you. So, and I think I talked about it. I take, Doug, what you've given us, because I love it, and then use it in the meetings. Not to the best ability yet, but I'm getting there.
Here's the way that I liken it. The marketing animals, the Freedom Club, this by no means is a replacement for it. I always believe that the art of what I do is just teaching you how to speak better and to provide more value and to consider yourself to be more valuable. I believe that if you have that mindset, when you go and start using the Freedom Club, the materials and the tools that the Freedom Club offer just make you more efficient and make you more precise and make you more deadly at your craft. So it's kind of like, I'm going to teach you how to fish, but I'm not going to give you the lures and a tackle box. That's what I believe the Freedom Club gives you. The Freedom Club is full of tools and ideas and strategies as it relates to doing your job, but I don't think they teach the mindset that's necessary. I don't think that they teach the strategies that help you develop a more meaningful relationship with your audience. I don't think it helps promote your value, at least what I've seen. And I've never done the Freedom Club material. I'm only speaking to what I knew that worked for me, that seems to be working for a large number of LOs in this company. But by no means is it supposed to replace or take the position of. It's more or less just supposed to augment what you're doing. So I use Thor's hammer as an example. Frogging realtors is a great strategy. But there's a reason why you have to do it for 12 weeks. There's a reason why, you know, you have to keep cycling through that group of realtors. I'm not saying it doesn't work, because I know LOs that are highly successful at it. But there's a larger number of LOs that just prefer to have a more intimate conversation with realtors. And if you're sitting down with a realtor for the first time, having a strategy call like I'm discussing probably would work better as a impression with your audience than just frogging them. Does that make sense or no?
Yeah, I would agree.
Yes, it does.
So I don't want it to be. I don't want it to be. They're supposed to go hand in hand. I mean, you know, if my dad gave me a hammer and a nail and said go build something, I would probably struggle building it the way that my dad would build it. So I'd ask my dad to teach me how to swing a hammer and a nail. And I'm hoping that all I'm doing is giving you guys the language skills to help you speak differently, because I don't think the Freedom Club teaches you how to speak differently and to provide more value as it relates to the relationship in your audiences.
Yeah, definitely what you're going over with us deepens the relationship we would have with the realtors. No question.
But it doesn't change the strategy in which you get the realtor, right?
Oh, no. I think, and that's what I mean, I like Thor's hammer, and I was doing it before this. I'm just a little more regimented now.
Right. Do you think that your message on the phone with the realtors is getting to be more meaningful through our calls?
Well, I do, and I think before really beginning this, and in the first meeting I went to where I'm with Carl, I think I fell into the group that I was worried about once I got a loan. Was there going to be problems, and was this thing going to close on time, or was it going to be a disaster, and then I've got a mad realtor? Now I feel that, hey, if you give me a loan, Mr. and Mrs. Realtor, it'll close on time, I'll follow up, you're going to get referrals from your client. And I feel confident in saying that, and I think that relays a better message to the realtors.
Especially when you start with I amplify relationships. You now have the confidence knowing that the support team, the operations team here, is after the same thing. So when you speak it with conviction and you speak it with confidence.
Exactly. I mean, it's elevated my kind of feeling on growing. You know, my goal is to get to 10 loans a month. When I was at 4 and 5 loans previously, I mean, I was stressed out, and I didn't know if they were going to close on time, what was going to be the end result. Now I feel much more confident in what that result is going to look like, and that's why I'm confident I'm going to hit that 10 loans per month.
Correct. I don't know, Bobby, does that answer the question that you have?
Yeah, it does. And actually, after you answered it, Doug, I remember you and I kind of talked about this just one-on-one, and I just totally forgotten how you correlated between what you're doing in Freedom Club in terms of the fish and the lures and all that. So that was on me, and I apologize. But yes.
No, it's okay. Here's what I don't want. We have a partnership with the Freedom Club, obviously, and Carl White and Scotty and Tammy. And I have never once professed to be a professional coach, and Scott and Carl and Tammy are more in that category. I'm more getting into what I believe is what we as individuals lack as it relates to our businesses from a mindset standpoint. And I think anytime that you can speak with confidence and conviction and clarity, I think whatever the tool is that you're using makes you infinitely more effective. So if you were doing Thor's hammer, like Saul is, and your language skills were spot on, I would think that you would find that your calls with Thor's hammer would go infinitely better if you knew what to say and how to say it and when to say it, and left your audience knowing that you were, quote unquote, the consultant that they were looking for. And Thor's hammer just happens to be the tool in which you track your calls in order to put yourself in front of those realtors. Does that help?
Yes.
Cool. So yeah, hey buddy, Saul, I know you did some homework for me over the week. Can you read what you wrote, because we're running out of time?
Well, and I
don't go all rogue on me now.
Wait a minute, I didn't do, and really I struggled with it a little. So what I began, and these were the top 5 values that my team and I provide.
Okay.
So I jotted down, and this was at the beginning of the week. So I put follow up with leads. I know when you
Okay.
send a referral, especially a first time home buyer, you want them contacted quickly and get the process moving forward.
Yep.
And then I put right program. Your clients trust you and trust that whenever you refer them, they will feel the same comfort level due to your recommendation. They deserve a team that will analyze the situation so they're confident the loan absolutely is the best fit for their situation. And then I put problems that come up, and then I stopped. And then this morning when I was getting ready, I put 5 values that my team and I provide. So I put follow up with leads quickly, communicate outcome with referrer, timely communication, solutions for clients, meaning, and I used to tell my processor this, I said, we don't have problems, we just have solutions. So let's find a solution. Drive referrals for all parties involved, and then confidence, closing on time. And then I kind of thought about the values, and I thought, are those really values, or are those just items that need to be done? So then I tried to boil it down to values, and I put honesty, excellence, accountability, teamwork, and results. And that's where I ended it.
Okay. I love it. Let me give you an evolution to this. We talked about pulling the information out of your audience and asking your realtors what's important, asking them what their definition of success is, asking them what makes them referable, asking them questions that you can get so you can develop your answers. Your list that you provided, Saul, is everything that you're going to ever need to respond with based on whatever answers they give you. Every answer that your agent gives you when you ask them those questions, you can respond with what you just listed there, as long as you don't use the I statement in it.
Right.
For example, I define a successful transaction as closing on time. Fantastic, Mr. Realtor. How many of your transactions have gone successful for you this year? None. Okay? If I told you that that was a small part of the success, but your clients could leave the relationship still feeling ecstatic, even if you didn't close on time, would you be interested in learning about that? The reason is because there is a method that can allow your clients to close even after the due date and still create an environment that is 100% referable and to help you amplify that relationship. Would that be something that you'd be interested in? Do you see how everything that you just said you can start parlaying into once they give you the answer to whatever questions that you have? Whatever questions you give them in the responses, you can artfully craft the response that goes back into your top 5 value systems. But as long as you don't make it about you and you make it about them and the impact that it will have on their business, you undoubtedly elevate your own value because you're not talking about you, but yet you're identifying what their needs are, which makes you more of a consultant. And it makes it so that you're in their head and you know what their wants and their goals and their needs are. And once you're there, very few loan officers have the skill set to be able to do that. Does that resonate?
Sure, absolutely.
What did you just hear me say?
That even if things don't go exactly as planned, that doesn't mean that it can't be a successful relationship.
But nobody understands the definition of successful transactions when they're meeting their agents for the first time because nobody asks.
Right.
Your definition of success is not the same as theirs.
Right. No, well, that's an excellent point.
Ask the questions. A coach of mine years ago said, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Use them proportionately. Ask the questions. Be more interested and less interesting. Come up with a list of the questions. I'm recording this call so you guys can replay it and take some of those if you want off the call. come up with a list of questions and make that your purpose for your meetings when you're meeting with them face-to-face. Don't change what you're saying, but be more purposeful and intentional in your conversations. Get the information that allows you to make an educated business decision. Get into the conversation about what's important to them. And then take what you've learned on these calls and spin it around and make it about them. You're like the guy in next to a merry-go-round. You know, there's a park by my house that's got these little, it's like a merry-go-round, but you've got to pull it. You know, kids get in the middle of it and you spin it and it goes really fast and the kids love it. Sometimes I feel like that's the way our conversations with our agents go. I'm just spinning the conversation back at them, back at them, back at them. Because eventually I'm going to get them to answer the question that's really meaningful. And sometimes it starts with what makes you referable. Sometimes it starts with how do you define a successful transaction. Sometimes it's how come your business isn't where you want it to be. I mean, if you truly buy into the whole concept that you're a consultant, your meetings face-to-face with your agents need to be all about consulting, because you have to decide if they're a good fit for your business or not.
Right. So really it's not trying to make it comfortable, maybe even making it a little uncomfortable, but where they appreciate the value that I'm bringing to the table.
You're not a tool. Every loan officer that they've ever dealt with is a tool. And you know that because otherwise they wouldn't be meeting with you. That's why they've always said you're only as good as your last transaction. That's because you don't have any value. You're a tool. And I don't mean tool as in a negative connotation. I mean, sure. We're a tool. We're just we're somebody that will push papers, and we don't act as anything other than a commodity. So when you meet with them, the only way you're going to differentiate yourself from the other LOs that undoubtedly service them or call on them is to let them know that you're not a tool. And that starts with going, listen, I don't know if we're going to be a good fit. And I'm sure if we aren't, you'll leave here feeling like you're going to be open tomorrow, and I'm going to leave here feeling like I'm open tomorrow. But I'm wanting to figure out if maybe together we could be better. Is that something you'd be interested in dealing with me today? Awesome. Well, I'm going to ask you a series of questions. And at the end of these questions, if you believe that I'm not a perfect fit for your team, I want you to know it's okay to say we're not a good fit. But I'm also going to let you know that I'm doing the same thing. Is that something you'd be comfortable with? That conversation in and of itself blows their mind because they've never done it before. You want to leave an impression on somebody? Shake it up a little bit.
Hey, here's a, is one of the things that I've tried to do is read some of the, some real estate related kind of books, right? Just to kind of see what the realtors are reading. And Saul, I don't know if you've read it, and I think you and I have talked about it, Doug, but there's a book, it's been out for a little while, called the seven Levels of Communication.
Yep.
If you haven't read it, Saul, you can probably get a used copy, paperback, for close to nothing off Amazon. It's kind of a parable the way that the guy writes it. It's a story, but in the story he's basically providing guidance, if you will, and ideas to the realtor that's reading it, as an example, or it actually can apply to you, or it does apply to you and I. And one of the realtors gets a coach and goes through this process and does these things. And these are just some things. There's some things out there that that they may or may not have read the book, but that that have helped me think of ideas to try to, if they say, well, so okay, how are you going to help me? How are you going to help me grow my business? Well, did you think of this? Did you think of that? And those books are what I try to pull from, to where I can try to add value.
Okay. Yeah, I've not read it.
I would say 7 Levels of Communication, and I would say Unlocking the Sales Game is another good one.
Yeah,
and Unlocking the Sales.
I've got that on Audible.
Yep, that book in and of itself probably mirrors more of how I think about business and how I deal with my clients than any other book that I've ever read.
Yeah.
Both
Okay.
are really strong books. Both are highly recommended. But I think that your greatest value when you're not meeting with your agents is absolutely reading and learning what it is about, communication and dealing with your audiences is necessary. I mean, it's necessary. All this stuff that I'm coming up with, this is stuff that I've learned in my career that I'm giving you so that it makes it a little bit easier for you guys to become more successful quicker. But it's all out there. I mean, all of it's available if you wanted to spend the time to hunt it down. But I love the fact that you recommended it. I love the book, 7 Levels of Communication. I think it's a must read.
I will do. I need to read more, so that's a good suggestion.
I think reading a half hour a night is imperative. Whether you're listening, because for me it's when I'm out doing errands or I'm out running up to Home Depot or I'm doing honey-do lists, I've got my headphones on and I'm on Audible. I've got audiobooks. And it isn't always self-help. It isn't always business. It's, recreation, stuff about history. I mean, I'm into that stuff. It helps me kind of stay focused. And I love doing it. So, oh, guys, I got to split. I got a 12 o'clock call that I got to be ready for. Was this a good call today?
Very good.
Yeah. Hey, send me that document, please.
I will send you the document as soon as I'm done recording transferring the call and getting it, and I'll get it over to you along with the turbulence.
Okay.
Okay, guys. We'll see you next week. Thanks for the time.
Okay. See ya.
Thanks.